Hi guys, I'm Sam, and boy, do I have a crazy story to tell you. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever pretended to be gay to get close to a girl? Don't adjust your ears, you heard me right. Crazy, huh? Well, go get yourself some popcorn and stay tuned, as I'm going to tell you all about it. It began with my childhood sweetheart, Jeanette. We were together for 9 years and had been living together for 4 years. The most commonly asked question our friends and family threw at me was, "Why haven't you proposed yet?" I always made a joke of it and said something like, "All in good time." But the truth was, we were both still so young, and I just didn't feel ready to take that plunge yet. But surely, we will get married eventually. Then one day at work, me and my team got high praise for a big project we'd aced. To celebrate, I invited them over to mine to have a celebratory pizza lunch break. I knew Jeanette was working from home, but I didn't think she'd mind. I mean, who wouldn't want pizza? I led my colleagues into my place saying, "Hi honey, I'm home." Then my foot ended up entangled in something and I almost fell over. I reached down to free myself and lifted a bra. That's when I saw that there was a trail of clothes all over the floor. Then I heard moaning sounds coming from the bedroom. Oh dear God, please no. If she was doing what I thought she was, I would slam my head to a wall. And guess what? I walked into the bedroom, and there was Jeanette, in our bed with some other dude. They were so preoccupied that they didn't even notice me, so I coughed loudly to get their attention. She looked completely shocked, then sputtered out, "Sam, what are you doing here? Aren't you working?" Wow, this girl even dared to question me? I replied, "Oh, now you suddenly care about me? Ain't I the one who should be asking what on earth you guys are doing? Can't believe this." Then I walked out of there and back into the living room where all of my colleagues were standing there gawping at me. Oh no, I'd forgotten about them. I tried to keep some sort of composure as I politely asked them to leave, and also said I may be a little bit late back to work. Then that dude appeared and started picking his clothes off the floor. I was so mad I grabbed his pants and one of his sneakers and chucked them in the trash. Ha! Have fun smelling of garbage all day, jerk. After he left, I asked Jeanette why she did it, but she showed no sign of guilt or shame. She just sat there reasoning that she'd been waiting for me to propose for years, but I never had. She wasn't getting any younger, and she felt like she was wasting her life with someone who didn't seem able to fully commit to her. What? This was absurd. Of course I planned on proposing. I mean, maybe in a year or two. She just needed to wait, but no. Instead, she cheated on me with a guy that didn't even come close to me on the looks front. I mean, come on. At least pick someone who looked like Captain America. Then it would be a fair competition. Of course, Jeanette and I broke up after that. Thank God I found out she was a cheater before I actually married her. What a lucky escape. Phew. Okay, who was I trying to kid? The reality is, I was heartbroken. And worse still, everyone at work knew what she'd done. The only thing keeping me going were ice cream-fueled nights in watching low-budget horror movies. On one such night, some of my guy friends showed up and insisted on taking me out. I didn't want to go anywhere, but my friends didn't take no for an answer. Before long, I was in a bar drinking a beer and listening to my gay friend go on about how amazing his boyfriend was. Thinking about it, maybe he had a point. Girls were bossy, controlling, and always seemed in a hurry to reach life milestones. But guys weren't like that. Suddenly, I had an idea. I was so done with girls, but the truth is, I was lonely. So why didn't I give dating a guy a go? Yeah, I know it sounded crazy, but whatever. Who knows, maybe I was really gay and destined to be with a guy? So, that evening when I got home, I downloaded a dating app and started swiping for my dream man. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon Grant. He was wearing a Stranger Things t-shirt, and he was attractive. Although not as good-looking as me, of course. We started chatting, and a few days later, he asked me out on a date, and I agreed. We went to some fast food restaurant and ate greasy burgers, which Jeanette hated. Then we talked about superhero movies, which Jeanette also hated. It was refreshing being out with someone that didn't count calories or turn their nose up at geeky references. I walked home feeling positive, but as I passed a bubble tea cafe, something fell through the air and soaked me. What the hell, and what was I tasting? It was really sweet. I looked at myself and, was that bubble tea? I couldn't believe it. Somebody had just thrown a cup of bubble tea on my head. I looked around me to find the culprit. That's when I saw some shocked-looking girl running over to me. She was muttering out something about being really sorry and how she was aiming at her boyfriend but missed. By this point, I was in a foul mood. So I said to her, "Girl, your aim is lousy." Then I walked off. Man, all girls do is cause me grief. I was so done with them. So when Grant asked me out on another date, I said yes. We ended up in some cafe so we could have a little chit-chat. Suddenly, Grant reached over and took my hand. Oh my God, what should I do? Should I pull my hand back? But that would be so rude. All I wanted was to quickly get out of this dilemma. So I rambled out something about remembering I had to meet my parents. Then I quickly got out of there. Okay, so I'd had a revelation. I 100% wasn't gay. Thank God we stopped at holding hands. If he tried to kiss me, I might have fainted from the shock. Suddenly, my phone beeped. It was a message from my annoying cousin James with a photo attached. Oh my God, it was me and Grant holding hands! How come I didn't notice that James was in the same cafe as us? His message read, "Give me your Avengers action figure collection or I'm sending this to your parents." What? Didn't he have better things to do than to blackmail me? No way I would give him my precious collection. If I saw him, I would have even given him a smack in the head for this childish move. I ignored his idle threats. That idiot couldn't scare me anyway. I decided I needed a break from dating. Maybe I needed a new hobby such as reading. Yeah, reading would be a great way to distract myself. So the next day I went to the bookstore when suddenly I saw Jeanette. Oh great, what was she doing here? I freaked out, so I grabbed the nearest book to me and pretended to read it. Phew, she hadn't seen me, had she? Then suddenly I hear her voice saying, "Sam, is that you?" I lowered the book and forced a fake smile and greeted her back. Then she pointed at the book I was holding and said, "Is that for your niece?" Seeing her had made me all flustered, so I muttered out, "No, it's for me." She gave me a weird look, then said, "Oh, I didn't realize you were into those kinds of novels." What? I looked at the book I was holding. Oh, just great. I was holding the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I was about to correct myself when suddenly some seriously handsome guy appeared and put his hand on Jeanette's waist. "Sam, this is Nick, my fiancé." She showed me the massive diamond ring on her finger. This Nick dude shook my hand. Well, he had a firm grip. Then they started giving each other lovey-dovey looks. This was my cue to leave, so I put that book down, muttered out a goodbye, and hurried out of there. Great. Jeanette had got herself some other hunk, and I was feeling like a loser. I needed to clear my head, so I went for a long walk and found myself at the lake where Jeanette and I went for our first date. Standing there, I remembered how a pigeon had pooped on her jacket, and I'd laughed so much I tripped and dropped my phone in the lake. Ah, the good old days. My memories were interrupted by the sounds of someone sobbing. That's when I spotted a crying girl sitting by the lake. Suddenly, she stood up and it looked like she was going to jump. Panic-stricken, I ran over to her and grabbed her arm to stop her. She got so startled that she punched me right in the face. My nose was bleeding and my mouth swelled up like I'd been stung by a swarm of bees. I screamed, "What the heck?" and gave the girl a dirty look. Oh my God, not her again. It was the bubble tea girl. What was it with me and this girl? She's surely bad news. Every time we met, I ended up getting hit. I'm sorry, but my body couldn't handle any of that anymore. And it seemed like she also recognized me, so she immediately apologized and asked if I was okay. I was super mad, so I yelled at her, "No, I'm not okay. And what on earth do you think you're doing? No matter how bad your problems are, you should never do such selfish things. Do you really want to leave this world all behind?" The girl gave me a weird look and said, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Turns out it was all a misunderstanding. She wasn't trying to jump in the lake. She just wanted to throw away the ring her boyfriend had given her. Oops. She told me how she'd caught him cheating on her at her birthday party. With her cousin. Ouch. I thought my ex was the worst. But her ex sounded like the jerkiest jerk ever. We grabbed a drink, not bubble tea, and sat by the lake and chatted for a while. It turns out she's actually alright. I mean, she's pretty cute and funny. And her favorite superhero is Black Widow. I mean, she's a kick-ass choice. And, oh, no, I think I might have a crush on her. By the time we said our goodbyes, she'd stopped crying and was actually smiling. So that meant she liked me too, right? As I walked home, I realized something. I'd forgotten to get her number. Oh, man, I was so stupid. And even her name was a mystery. I mean, it wasn't like she was actually called Bubble Tea Girl, so I couldn't even look her up. Real good job there, Sammy boy! Aren't you guys curious about if I ever got to know her name? Stay tuned for the next part. The fun is yet to come.